I froze as Alexander Kane's hand closed around the ring that had once belonged to my father. That sapphire glinted under the chandelier like a lie, and I realized my sister's engagement was nothing but a carefully staged betrayal. Claire had not seen that ring in 11 years, not since the night her father came home without it, and not since she promised herself she would never let anyone take what was left of her family's legacy. The ring caught the chandelier like a warning flare. Alexander Kane was on one knee in the middle of the country club ballroom, velvet box open, smiling that practiced perfect smile that had been on the cover of Forbes 3 times before he turned 35. My little sister Emma stood frozen in her champagne silk gown, hands over her mouth, tears already shining. The entire room, 200 of Chicago's richest, drunkest, and most bored, had gone hushed, phones up, waiting for the yes that would merge old Midwestern construction money with new Silicon Valley blood. He slid the ring onto her finger. Platinum band, deep blue sapphire in the center, 2 small diamonds on either side. Inside the band, the engraving I knew better than my own heartbeat, RT to CT, forever my North Star, 1987. I had not seen it in 11 years, not since the night my father came home without it, and not since she promised herself she would never let anyone take what was left of her family's legacy. The ring caught the chandelier light like a warning flare. Alexander Kane was on one knee in the middle of the country club ballroom, velvet box open, smiling that practiced perfect smile that had been on the cover of Forbes 3 times before he turned 35. My little sister Emma stood frozen in her champagne silk gown, hands over her mouth, tears already shining. The entire room, 200 of Chicago's richest, drunkest, and most bored, had gone hushed, phones up, waiting for the yes that would merge old Midwestern construction money with new Silicon Valley blood. He slid the ring onto her finger. Platinum band, deep blue sapphire in the center, 2 small diamonds on either side. Inside the band, the engraving I knew better than my own heartbeat, RT to CT, forever my North Star, 1987. I had not seen it in 11 years, not since the night my father came home without it, and not since she promised herself she would never let anyone take what was left of her family's legacy. I stood up so fast my chair scraped like a gunshot. Crystal glasses trembled. Someone gasped. "That's my dad's ring," I said, loud enough for the tables closest to hear, then louder so the back wall heard. "That is my dead father's ring." Alexander's head snapped toward me. The color drained from his face the way water spirals down a drain, fast, unstoppable, ugly. His mouth opened, closed. For the first time in public, the great Alexander Kane had nothing to say. Emma looked from him to me, confused, the ring already on her hand like a handcuff. "Claire, what are you—" I walked straight through the circle of guests, heels clicking on marble, heart hammering so hard I tasted metal. "Take it off," I told her. She didn't move. Alexander found his voice, low, dangerous. "Claire, this isn't the time." "Oh, it's exactly the time." I stopped 2 feet from him, close enough to smell his cologne, oud and money and something metallic like fear. "Tell them, Alex. Tell them where you got it." His eyes flicked to the exits, to security, to the phone still recording, calculating escape routes the way he once calculated hostile takeovers. I didn't wait. 11 years ago, I said to the room, Alexander Kane wanted my father's company. Thompson Construction. 3 generations. Dad wouldn't sell, so Alex did what he always does. He burnt it down. Fake safety violations, bribed inspectors, poached every client with lies. He squeezed until Dad had nothing left but debt and pride. I pulled the flash drive from my clutch, the one I had carried every day for 6 years, and held it up. On this drive is everything. Emails where he ordered his CFO to fabricate liens, wire transfers to city officials, a recording, yes, a recording of him laughing while Dad begged for a loan to keep the house. And the best part? I smiled at him cold. The video Dad made the night before he lost everything, including that ring. Alexander lunged for the drive. I stepped back. 2 cousins, big, corn-fed boys, who still remembered carrying Dad's casket, moved in quietly and took his arms. Emma's face had gone white. "Alex, tell me she's lying." He couldn't look at her. I nodded to the AV kid I'd paid $500 2 hours earlier. The lights dimmed, the huge screen behind the head table flickered to life. Dad appeared. He looked old, broken. Sitting in his study, the one Alexander now used as a home office in the house he'd bought at auction for pennies. The ring was still on his finger then, catching the lamplight. "If you're watching this," Dad said, voice hoarse, "it means I'm gone, and it means Alexander Kane finally won. He took the company. He took our home. Tonight, he took the last thing I had left, my father's ring. He pulled it off my hand while I begged him not to foreclose on the mortgage. He said, 'Consider it a memento of the day the Thompsons learned their place.'" Dad held up his bare hand to the camera. The indentation was still there, red and raw. "I want my girls to know I fought. I want that bastard to know I'm not afraid anymore. Claire, Emma, if he ever comes near you, run. He destroys everything he touches." The video ended. The ballroom was silent except for Emma's first sob. She stared at the ring on her finger like it was poisoned. Then she wrenched it off and threw it at Alexander's face. It struck his cheekbone with a sharp crack and fell to the marble. "Get out," she whispered. Then louder, "Get out." Security didn't need to be told twice. They escorted him past tables where people he'd golfed with, vacationed with, invested with, now turned their backs. Someone spat in his champagne. A woman I recognized from the Tribune live tweeted the whole thing with the caption, "Karma just served cold." I didn't watch him leave. I was watching my little sister fold in on herself like a broken bird. I caught her before she hit the floor. She cried into my shoulder the way she had when she was 8 and skinned her knee, when she was 16 and her first boyfriend dumped her, when she was 22 and Dad's casket lowered into the ground. Only this time, I didn't say it would be okay, because it already was. Later, much later, after the police took statements, after the news vans camped outside my apartment for 3 days straight, after Alexander's board called an emergency meeting and he stepped back to handle personal matters, translation, forced out with a parachute the size of a small country, Emma and I sat on Dad's old dog at the lake house. We'd finally bought back with the settlement money. The ring lay between us on the weathered wood, cleaned, polished, sapphire gleaming like Lake Michigan at noon. "I kept thinking," Emma said quietly, "that he loved me because he saw me, not the Instagram version, me. He said the ring had been his grandmother's, that it was the only thing he had left of her." She laughed, bitter. "I wanted so badly to be someone's North Star." I picked up the ring, turned it in the sunlight. "You already filed the paperwork. It would go back to the family vault. One day maybe to Emma's daughter if she ever had one, or to mine. But not yet. For now, I slipped it onto my own finger. It fit perfectly. Dad always said I had his hands. I used to dream about killing him, I said. Poison, car accident, pushing him off one of his own rooftops. But every scenario felt small. He took Dad's dignity. I wanted his. Emma leaned her head on my shoulder. You got it. We sat in silence as the sun dropped red and gold across the water. Somewhere out on the lake, a loon called, lonely and clear. I thought about the girl who had stood in a foreclosure auction parking lot at 24, screaming at a man in a $10,000 suit while he climbed into his Bentley without looking back. I thought about the woman who spent 6 years collecting every dirty secret the way some people collect baseball cards. I thought about the moment Alexander Kane's empire began to crack, because one sister refused to stay quiet and the other finally listened. The ring felt warm from the sun. Dad's voice whispered in my memory, the way it did whenever I started to lose faith. Finish strong, Claire Bear. I smiled. I already had. The next night, my backyard looked like something out of a magazine. String lights in the trees, long farmhouse tables, the gelato cart Olivia never booked, but I did, the string quartet playing Sinatra, photos of Mom and Dad's actual life projected on the side of the garage, the salmon with the lemon butter sauce everyone remembered from Christmas 10 years ago. Olivia didn't come, but everyone else did. And for the first time in my life, when someone said, "Lauren, this is incredible," I didn't deflect. I just smiled and said, "Thank you. I know. Some spotlights don't blind you. They finally let you see."